fatal heart impacts, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet out. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kiru Show here. And now, whenever we last left off with this series, we had Deku. And yeah, a lot has happened for him. After the 2 weeks of the yautja hunting were at an end, Deku, he was able to return home. However, he discovered that in the time he's been gone, something happened to his planet. A biological contaminant has infected his planet and destroyed nearly the entire inhabitants of it. Now, this is very bad for Deku. He just thought he could return home and go back to his normal life. It was interesting and it was fun for him. However, these last 2 weeks, they were memories that he will cherish. But now he's discovered something. He can't go back home because there's nothing to return to. Many of the humans, they don't know this, however. The ones who did, they were all sent down to the planet. And he was the exception. Now then, Deku did return back to base, where he exchanged information about the yautja language for a bottle of whiskey in the last part. And Deku did actually then, at least, go to train with the yautjas after drinking some, and yeah, they went to go test out the humans and their combat prowess. As Deku, he himself today is walking to the armory. He's already trained with the yautja, commander, for at least 3 hours on how to use a smart disk. And he does actually want to go out on his own hunt and relieve some stress. Now, Deku, he does want to do this because of his anger. He's curious about what's out there as well. He just wants to do something, since sitting inside here all day long, it's boring to him. People, they don't talk to him, and he doesn't really do anything other than just sit around, train with the yautja, or really just stay in his room. It's just been that on rinse and repeat. So, Deku does walk into the human armory, where whenever Deku does walk in, he does slam his hands down on a table where all of them were currently standing, where a lot of humans were standing and working on gear. This being where some of them do go to look up, as some of they do at least go to shoot Deku a glance before looking back down at their project, not even really getting a good look at him. Excuse me, exactly what are you doing here? I'm curious about the armory. I've never been down here before. Are you new? I am. So what? Okay. Basic rules. You take something, you gotta return it. Sign your name for whatever you took. All that. Anyways, you're responsible for fixing it if you do mess it up. Now, the guy, he actually is going to look up towards Deku, as his eyes actually do somewhat widen. Wait a minute. You're that human I've heard about. Exactly what are you talking about? Yeah, you are, aren't you? I've heard many things about you. Apparently you yourself have taken down yautja? 3 of them, right? Technically 4, but I've killed 3. Yikes. That is terrifying. Okay, basic rules still do apply. Now, Deku, he does start to rummage around through the armory. The guy informing Deku that if he does want to use a gun, then they're over on Deku just walking towards the blades. As the guy does watch, Deku start to pick some up. Now, the guy does watch Deku take 2 battle axes, or at least 2 axes, that have one side on them. Him going to actually go to stuff them down into his belt to just start to grab more weapons. Deku grabbing knives in containers, or at least throwing knives in their sheaths, and going to attach them down to his belts. As Deku does also grab a crossbow, or at least a bow and arrow, and going to put it on his shoulder. As he's going to grab a bow and quiver. Him walking over to a table, looking down at it where they do have multiple grenades on it. Deku then actually going to look to his right to see at least an entire sash that does at least have grenades layered on top. Now, Deku does look at the sash covered in grenades before looking down the grenades on the table. Deku walking over to the table, grabbing the grenades and putting them in his pockets. As is walk over to this container, or at least this large vest basically covered in grenades, and grabs it and goes to put it on. This being where people, they actually do start to stare at Deku. As Deku just start to walk past them, and they all do at least talk about how Deku needs to sign for those. I'm not signing for them. These are mine now. Bye. Now, they do all watch Deku just go to leave. As the guy who did tell Deku that he should at least sign for him, or at least told him the basic rules, he doesn't do anything. You're not gonna stop him? Hell no. You know who that guy is, right? No. Okay. The guy actually going to set down his tools, turning to this other one. You're an idiot. What? How am I an idiot? Because the fact that you don't know who that is less surprising than the fact that you're an idiot. That's the human who is said to be able to kill yautja in hand-to-hand combat. Wait, what? Yeah, that's why he has that mask, along with that disc or something, whatever he has on his hip. We're not allowed to actually expect that technology. Anyways, there's also another rumor going around. He's killed 50 of those tailed aliens or whatever you call them, the xenomorphs. Wait, he killed 50? That's insane. People barely managed to kill one, right? Apparently he's done all this without the use of certain firearms, or at least from what I know, or people spreading rumors about it. Many people talk about how he's acid proof. Really? I don't know. You could ask him, but I doubt he'd answer your question. Anyways, we do currently have Baku with Deku, who he does go to walk towards a gate where yautja are currently standing. And they do inform Deku that he does need to stop. The area in this direction is where the yautja and human are currently testing combat, or engaging in combat with one another. Okay, this is the only way out though, right? No, many other ways out. Why? I wish to explore the planet and go hunting. Now, the yautja is going to look Deku up and down. Okay. The manager's pointing to his right, talking about how if Deku just head that direction for at least 5 or 10 miles, then he should find another opening, where yautjas will be standing on guard. This being where Deku does turn and walk away, as the yautjas do just stare at Deku. And they do at least wonder if that human really is special, or if he's just, well, a psychopath. Anyways, we do actually have Deku, who he does go to get through the fence after giving the yautja verification and leaving. As we do actually have where somebody they do come following Deku. They were curious about this. They didn't really participate in the human yautja training, since they always get left out. And we do actually currently have where they did decide to follow Deku. Aki, she is very curious about this human. Along with that, she even does want to go through a rematch with him and see if she'll win. Deku, he fought her big sister, and she does intend to prove that just because of what she is, doesn't mean she's not any less of a hunter than anyone else. Now, this is where Deku, while he's walking through the forest, he does encounter a few threats. And many of them, Deku does take on, as explosions can be heard. And even, well, what's the best way to describe it? I guess you just call it maniacal laughter. Anyways, we do actually where Aki, she does come running up about a few minutes later, as she does actually see that the area is somewhat still smoking with flames. And you do actually where she does actually turn to see Deku, who he's currently at least sitting against a tree. And he does have the bottle in his hand, as he does have the cork in his mouth. Him spitting it down towards the ground and actually going to take a swig. Now, Aki does actually come walking up, as she does ask Deku exactly what is he doing. As Deku just talk about how he encountered these strange creatures a minute ago, and that all of them, they're currently dead. As Akisha is going to look towards the battlefield. There were at least 20 or 15 different animals in front of him, from what she can at least somewhat piece together from the parts left around. However, her going to look towards some trees, she sees that some of these animals are actually pinned, and have all been killed with a simple knife to the heart. As Akisha actually is going to step back and turn to her left, realizing that the tree Deku is currently sitting at does have an animal pinned to it as well. Is this your handiwork? Yes, somewhat. I want to see if I can use them as bait. Bait? Draw something larger out. You know, a bigger prey for a bigger hunt. That's how you yautjas do things, correct? That is not wrong. However, I came here for a rematch. Really, Deku to say. As he does do one thing. He does go to stand up and hand her the bottle. Her grabbing it, and she's very confused, looking at it. What is this? Now, Deku is going to pull the battle axes from his belt, turning around towards a tree and stabbing both of them directly into it. As is turned back to a key, going to grab the bottle and going to bend down and grab the top to it. Him putting on the whiskey and turning back around and laying it directly on one of the battle axes. So you want to fight me? Yes, that is correct. Okay. Why exactly? Give me a reason. Because I wish to prove myself. You've already done that. You're a blooded warrior. I'm not talking about that. Okay. So exactly why are you fighting me then? Now, the yautja does go to bring up her fist, talking about how Deku is the one and only prey she's ever faced, that has ever escaped her. And the fact is, she is a newly blooded yautja. Deku is the first prey she's ever taken on, and because that he spared her life, this is a sign of great disrespect in their culture. A yautja is meant to die in combat, and what Deku basically did was like spitting on someone's grave. Now, Deku, yeah. Hearing this, it's very interesting to him. What he did was allow her to run away so he could, what? Get off scot-free from her father? He didn't realize this was some sort of sign of disrespect. Really? You're telling me that I basically should have murdered you? Yes. However, there's one good thing that did come out of it. I would have died a warrior. However, in this match, it's going to go a bit differently. I shouldn't kill you, but I want to. However, if either one of us die, we'll both die blooded warriors. And that is at least something that will help regain honor. Now, Deku does hear about what this girl is saying. She sounds crazy. However, Deku can actually somewhat understand it, as he is going to turn and walk forwards. Now, Deku is going to undo his belt, as he's going to drop all the weapons, and they're going to actually grab his mask. Pulling it off his face, he just toss it down towards the ground. Now, the yautja, she actually is going to drop her own weapons in her mask, as Deku and her, they do actually stand about 10 feet apart, as Deku does ask her exactly when does she want to begin, as he is just standing there. This being where Aki does at least tell him that they can start at any time. This being where Deku does actually go to do one thing. He does go to bring his hand up and grabbing a knife, as he does talk about how whenever this does hit the ground, or at least hit into the tree, that they have to begin. This being where Deku does actually do one thing. He does turn and go to bring up his hand, as he does go to chuck the knife overhand and go to wait, as the two do stare at the knife flying up into the air, it stabbing directly into a tree as the two do turn back to one another and go to rush in, as Deku does go for a right hook, and Akishi actually does go for one as well. Now, Deku he immediately does go to dodge this, and so does Aki. However, Deku does go to wrap his arm around her and actually go to bring up his right knee, as he's going to pick her up and smash her down into it, before going to actually turn and throw her right into a tree, as she's going to smash into it, and then she actually is going to rush towards Deku. As Deku and her, they do engage in combat. Now, Deku does notice a few things from this yautja. She's fighting differently from whenever they first did encounter one another. It was a little over a week ago. However, right now it does seem different. Her fighting style has changed. That being what Deku does think is just going to actually back away and dodge a slash that went towards his gut. As Deku does avoid the slash, he does actually feel air on an open wound. Him looking down before Aki does go rushing in, and Deku is going to grab her by her wrist. Deku actually going to pull her as hard as he can and go to bring up his right knee, smashing her hard and getting her directly in the stomach. As Deku is going to bring up his right fist and smash her in the stomach again, before bringing up his left hand and directly going to bat her right in the ear, before grabbing a handful of her hair and directly spitting her and tossing her once again. Now, Aki, she does get sent flying once more, her actually going to smash in the ground, and she is going to stand back up and rushing towards Deku. Now, Deku can already tell she's mimicking that one yautja he battled. Okay, this should be simple. Now then, the two do continue to fight. As Deku and Aki, they're both going at it. Aki, she's using different styles, and even different maneuvers against Deku, along with even fighting a bit dirty, since she's getting enraged. And Deku actually does pick up on this, as we do actually have about 30 minutes later, where Deku and Aki, they do go rushing towards one another, and Deku does actually go to get into an arm lock. Aki actually going to bring up her leg, and Deku is going to try and smash Deku in the stomach. As Deku is going to bring up one leg to block, and Akisha is actually going to bring up her other leg to try and smash Deku into his side, as she's actually able to do that and land a blow on Deku, before Deku does actually go to force her hand downwards and actually go to break her fingers, before going to bat her upwards with the top of his knuckles. Now, as she actually is moving backwards, she's going to do one thing, bringing her face in, and she actually is going to try and bite Deku in the face. Deku actually going to bring up his arm, and she does actually mark Deku's arm with a bite. And Deku does immediately go to grab away at her face, as he does actually put his finger up her nose and go to pull up hard. Now, she doesn't immediately go to let go of Deku, as she does get pushed back. And Deku and her are both just standing there. Now, Deku, he does just stare at the yautja, looking at the amount of blood gushing out of his arm. Well, I gotta say, you're a pretty strong warrior. Now, The yautja, she actually has us go to freeze at that statement. What did he just say? Hmm? I said you're strong. Why? Don't try to flatter me. Flatter you? What are you talking about? Besides, I'm still injured from fighting that one yautja from earlier. And in fact, you're actually helping me out quite a bit. I've lost a home. You don't understand that, do you? My parents are gone. My family is gone. Everything I've ever known is gone. My best friend's dead. My mother, my uncles, my aunts, all of it. And what do you have? You still have it. You still have your family. And I was ripped away from mine by yours. Now, the yautja does this look at Deku. His faces show pure rage. And there actually, whenever Deku, he does actually go to look down at his arm. Okay, that's actually bad. Now, Deku actually is going to turn and walk over to his bag, which is by the tree. As Deku is going to bend down and grab something from it. Deku immediately going to spray the wound, as he is then going to jab something into his wrist. Now, the yautja does just stare at Deku kind of confused, asking exactly what the hell is he doing. I'm too drunk to be fighting you like this. What are you talking about? Now, Deku does turn back, grab the bottle of whiskey, and directly going to toss it towards the yautja, as he is told to have a drink. Now, Deku, yeah, he lost a lot of blood. And with the amount of alcohol that was currently in his system, that was starting to get a lot bad. Now, yautja does catch the bottle and just look down at it, kind of confused. It's going to actually pull the top off of it before going to smell it. And she doesn't really understand what this is. Asking exactly what does it do? For humans, I want to say it basically mentally impairs us. Turns off certain body functions, or at least things on our body, like memory, eyesight, and, well, Deku is just talking about how it does impair a lot of senses. And you've been fighting me with this in your system? Yeah. It's also good for therapy. I don't know what that is. I don't think there's a word for it in your language. I just used the closest thing I could find. Now, Deku, he just watched the yautja actually go to try and take a swig of whiskey, as he does just watch her try to down the entire bottle, or at least what's left of it. Now, it's pretty funny. The yautja, she seemed, just a few minutes ago, like she wanted to murder him. However, right now, she's more or less just confused about a lot of things. Now, Deku, he actually does at least try to talk with the yautja some, since he's confused as to why she, or, well, anything about their customs really. Deku, he does want to learn more, talking about how he doesn't really know shit, and that if he knew that this was disrespect, he would really not have done it. The yautja are very surprised, as him and her do actually sit down. Her actually finishing off the bottle, as Deku is going to stand up, and she herself does go to as well. Now, Deku does talk about how this battle was actually quite a bit of fun, and that it actually did help him relieve a lot of pent-up anger, since humans, they can't really match up to the strength of a yautja. Now, Deku is actually going to hold out his hands, as he has introduced himself as Izuku Midoriya. And Akisha just reached out and looked down at Deku's hand. Her actually kind of confused as she just trying to think. Does she grab it, or... Her actually just going to grab Deku by his hand, and Deku is going to start shaking her arm. Her just staring down kind of confused. Oh, it's something the humans do. Okay. Anyways, this whiskey stuff. Got any more? Yeah, we do. We humans make it. Besides, it's actually pretty good. I'd say, I don't think there's anything close to like a lemon on this planet, is there? A what? Never mind. Anyways, we should probably head back. Perhaps. Now, the yautja is going to turn and walk away. Her walking over and picking up her mask. As Deku starts to pick up his equipment and actually go to grab his battle axes. Now, you do actually have where Deku, whenever he did go to start taking down these creatures' bodies from the trees, something did actually encounter him. And Deku, yeah, he's going to be running a little bit late. Now, we do actually have about, let's just say, 30 to 40 minutes later. The yautja she heard Deku get in trouble. But hey, he can handle it. Anyways, Deku does currently walk back into base. Or back into the base where all the humans are. And they do actually see Deku, as his body is covered in blood. And Deku's currently at least holding a red-skinned pelt. Now, a lot of people are staring at Deku, as Deku is going to walk over towards the yautja section and actually going to bring up his hand to scan it. Deku actually scanning his hand as he's going to pull his hand away and the scanner is covered in blood. Deku just walking through and people do just stare at him. It was insane. That just came in here covered and soaked in blood. And he just left? The dude didn't even say a word. That pelt too, it's soaked. That can't be good. Now, we do actually have where Deku does go to his room. And he actually does go to toss this pelt directly in the corner of the room. He'll deal with that later, as Deku is going to hold up something. This is where Deku does at least have the hand of the creature he did take. And he's very, well, let's just put it in a way, proud of himself. That creature was very, very interesting to him. Along with that, its pelt. It actually is very interesting as well. It does feel very soft. And ironically, killing it actually was a pretty good challenge. So if he ever does encounter these things again, he might take on another one. Now, Deku actually is going to walk over towards his bathroom, as he does go to open the door and walk in, since he does need to clean his body off, and visit the med bay in a few minutes. Now then, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. Have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.